Hi, folks. Welcome to the Creative Nomad, presented by TrueAwesomeLife.com. I'm your host, JP Adkins, and I created this podcast because I want to tell the stories of the radicals, the ones who are out there making the world a better, more beautiful place. The amazing authors, artists, musicians, thought leaders, coaches, and yes, nomads who are out there living their true awesome lives and want to help others do the same. Are you ready to live your true awesome life? Go to TrueAwesomeLife.com and start your journey today. Hello, everyone. Hey, welcome to the Creative Nomad. I am so friggin' excited to be here today with Vickie. Vickie is a nomad, and you know that we don't get a lot of nomads on the show. So it's great when I get to have them on and talk about where they are. Vickie, I will totally mess up your intro. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Yay. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Vickie. I'm a full-time digital nomad. So I work online as I travel, and I escaped the cold Canadian winters to sail around the Caribbean on my beautiful sailboat. So I've been living full-time on a sailboat for 9 months now, and currently in Martinique, one of the French islands, and just having a great time.
Awesome. So a sailboat, what's that like? You know, just living on a sailboat.
Yeah, it's a very interesting life for sure. I mean, I think what is great about sailing is that no matter how big or small your boat is, you always have the same view. You always have the same sunsets, the same stars at night, and all of that. Of course, it's a lifestyle that forces you to be very connected to nature because you have to be mindful of the weather forecasts, of the waves, of what's going to come up in the upcoming week, because you're going to adjust if you're anchored, if you're in a marina, if you're at a mooring ball. And you need to be very resourceful and creative because everything on boats is always broken. Everything is broken on a boat, you just don't know it yet. Cruising is just fixing your boat in exotic places, so you need to be quick on your feet and ready to get down to work.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm in a motorhome,
Oh yeah.
and so well, I'm currently not in the motorhome, but technically I live in a motorhome. My motor has been blown for the last year, and so getting that fixed has been a mess. But before that, literally every time I moved, something broke. Something like the hinges snapped on my bathroom door. Like when? How do hinges snap? Like just the most random things would happen to me. So I totally get the exotic places. Just fixing things in exotic places. You know.
That's exactly what it is. Oh yeah, I mean, I've gone through the whole no motor thing as well, and the thing is that at least with the van, you can call for a towing, or you can call for someone to come bring you like a motor piece or something. But there was a
Mhm.
time where we were stuck on an island and we were missing a piece to fix our diesel engine, our engine on the inboard. So we had to sail with the sails only up to another island, but then the weather's shifted and we were pushed way far to west, and we had been at sea
Wow.
for 4 days at this point. So anyway, it was a big mess. So yeah, motor problems just make good adventures.
They do. I end up being in Tennessee for um, almost a year, like 9 months in Tennessee, um, between my niece's house and then my mechanic's house for a while, and then um, came back up here into Michigan, and now I'm at my best friend's house, kind of like la la la, just waiting. Any minute now, they can call me and tell me it's done. It's like literally down to timing. So it's like, and the more I pressure him, the more pissed off he's getting. I think he's like, well, I'm not touching it this week. So I'm like, but you know, I know that food is an issue for me when because we food storage is tight, right? And I can't imagine being on a boat and then not and being at sea and like even if because okay, if I run out of food, I go to the store and I get food, right? How do you deal with all that?
Yeah, so we've never done a crossing that was more than 5 days, and we have the space on the boat to be pretty autonomous in terms of food. I think we were able to store for like a month or two of food. Obviously, it's not fresh, right? After
Mhm.
5, 6 days, you're down to like tuna cans and chickpeas and beets and artichoke cans. You kind of have to figure it out. For us, what's more difficult than food is actually fresh water because we're surrounded by salt water
Mhm.
and we have an autonomy of about 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half if we're being, maybe 3 weeks if we're being very, very cautious, like we barely wash our dishes, barely shower. We
Mhm.
might be able to make it to 3 weeks. So that's kind of something like, oh, we need to get closer to land at least every 2 weeks to fill up with water
Yeah.
and, of course, gas. Obviously, not every island has diesel or not. So sometimes you need to plan, like, oh, I need to fill up now because the next island doesn't have propane for the barbecue. And
Mhm.
then we know we won't be able to get it before another sail. So, yeah, it's a lot of logistics, like you're saying, like packing the food, the water, the gas, all of that is always things that you need to be mindful of.
Yeah. I when I first went nomadic, I was in a 17-foot mini cruiser. So this thing was there was 4 steps. I always laugh because my second one, my bathroom had more floor space than my whole motorhome did, and the other one, my first one. So I was like, oh my god, I'm in heaven. It was a freaking apartment, right? Like I had an oven. Oh my god, it was like all hell changed. But water was another. I only had 20 gallons of fresh water, and that's
A
it.
lot.
Yeah, and you. So did you have you learned the spray bottle method yet? you know, you spray it with the dish soap. You do it, and then you have peroxide and water and another one, and that's how you rinse and put it away. It's like I did that for about a year, in the mini cruiser, and then I got something that was actually had I had 40 gallons, and that's luxury. It's like this is I can shower. I can
Yep.
I could
Yep.
really shower. Like, I could be out for a couple of weeks and still shower. It's life is good.
Mm.
Um, so how do you make one of the things that's always asked of me when I'm on the road, and even and with you, I can't imagine it being easier, right? I can because it would be uh, all like I always have Wi-Fi, right? I'm on land. I have Wi-Fi, and if I'm too far from Wi-Fi, I can find somewhere with Wi-Fi, right? What about you? Being on the sea, do you have internet issues? Do you have things that you realize that's
Yeah, there's lots of options when it comes to internet on the water. Of course, you can get Starlink from Elon Musk, and he just released a Starlink for boats, which we don't have right now because it just came out, right? So it's ridiculously expensive. We're thinking
Mhm.
of getting it on our next boat, probably in about a year and a half or 2 years. Right now, what we do is that every time we get to a new country, we buy a SIM card every time we get to a new country. And in the Caribbean, we're very lucky because if you get a SIM card, a digital SIM card in Martinique, you have roaming data,
Mhm.
which means that once we went up to Martinique and then we went back down and then we went back up, you have your data as long as you're about 15 miles from the coast. So if you're 30 kilometers from land in the water, you can still be recording a podcast episode, which is
Oh,
pretty
nice.
awesome. Of course, if you're crossing from like Martinique to St. Lucia, then you don't have any Wi-Fi in the middle. But I mean, it's not like I'm going to be doing any work while I'm sailing from a country to another anyway.
Right.
Um, so we just like, take screenshots of all of our weather
Mhm.
forecasts and all of that. We turn on our VHF radio, very high frequency radio, which we can use to ask for help or ask for, you know,
Mhm.
other boats around. And we have a small Garmin like satellite phone, which is basically a GPS tracker that shows our family where we're at in the world,
Awesome.
so that they can see if like our boat starts drifting. And for whatever reason, we have no more electricity, so we have no more VHF radio. Our families could
Mhm.
still call for the Coast Guards to come and rescue us. So that's kind of how it works for internet at the moment.
Yeah, that's it's fascinating because I've been in places just driving down the road where the internet goes out. you know.
Yeah.
And like you, if you're traveling, it's a travel day. It's marked travel day. You're probably
Yeah.
not doing anything before or after, or very little before or after, anyways. So it's definitely not during. If you do a live, like once in a while, I would do a live while I was driving, you know, because I had internet, and then the internet would drop in the middle of it. You're like, oh, I guess I'm done with that live. So, you know, it's like it's here I am. But I can't imagine being on the water in that, you know, in that empty space. You know, it's empty space. It's a different feel. Like, do you
Yeah,
ever feel?
there's no like human signs of humanity almost at some point, you know, when you're
Mhm.
crossing, especially night crossing, you're on the water, which obviously it's night, so the water's black and the sky is black, and there's no sight of any lights, like any road lights or any lights of houses or any cities. You're in the middle of nowhere in between two different islands or two different pieces of land. So it's just kind of like, 180 stars and then
Oh wow.
pure darkness. And you're in this little coconut floating shell. And you just got to speak to yourself and like regulate your nervous system because you're thinking, what the hell am I doing right now? What is going on? Where
Mhm.
am I? I've lost any reference of, high, low, right, and left. It's all just black. So it does shift a lot your perspective. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What made you decide on sailing?
Mm, super simple. First of all, I love water. I love to swim. Like, there's not a day that goes by that I don't swim now that I'm on the boat. I love to spearfish. I love to scuba dive. I was like a high level athlete in artistic swimming for many, many years. And then in 2019, I went on a sailboat for the first time in the Bahamas with a skipper. That was a
Mhm.
chartered boat. And I just fell in love with it. I came back home and I was like, all right, this is going to be my life now, everybody. I know nothing about sailing. I know nothing about electricity for boats. I know nothing about navigation on maps. I know nothing about diesel mechanic, but I was like, yep, I'm going to move on a boat. Now that's what's going on. So it took me 4 years between that moment and the moment that I bought this boat.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that people don't realize there's the gap,
Yeah.
right? It took me 5 to get into the RV. From the time I was told to get, my story is kind of similar. My life had kind of fallen apart, and a friend of mine said, "Well, did you take it to meditation? So ask out loud, what's next for me, and just go meditate and see what comes up." And as clear as you and I are speaking, I was told, "Get in an RV and go." I'm a city boy. I I had I went camping once before that, ever. Um, Hated it, every bit of it. It rained the whole time. I was like 12 years old. My little sister, who's now like 30, was potty training, to give you a perspective of time.
Yeah.
And she, it rained the whole time. We were stuck inside the trailer. Luckily, it was a trailer, not we. The older kids were all, there was a boy and a girl trailer. There was like a few of our friends, family were there. We were bored as fuck. Like there was nothing to do, and it rained, and so like even the things that would might have been fun about going camping wasn't fun. We were sitting there playing board games the whole time and cards, and
Mm.
it was horrible. And I promised I would never do that again. Fast forward, now I'm gonna get an RV. Are you kidding me? And this is before the RV thing, like at the very beginning of the whole RV movement. Um, like people were starting to realize this was available. So there was a couple people out there that were doing it, but really it wasn't like it is today. There's 2 million people on the road now. So I can imagine. Just I know exactly what that feels like. I'm gonna go sailing. Okay, that's what I gotta do. How do I do this? What do I gotta do? Is there a lot of places for reference for you? Um, I know for me there was a lot of RV or YouTube channels, and I got a really good education before I left. It didn't teach me what I needed to know, but it taught me a good portion, right? So, where are there places like that for you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Of course. I took like several, formal training with the Canadian Life Saving Society. They offer cruising classes. So you, first of all, you need to have a boating permit. You need to have a VHF radio license. You're not allowed to operate a VHF radio. That's actually 6 months of prison if you operate a VHF radio without a permit. So it's pretty
Wow.
serious. Then I did, electricity for boats, which was a collegiate course, 33 hours of electricity for boats. Diesel mechanic for boats, which is also offered by the Life Saving Society, which is also a 33-hour course plus an exam. I did fail the electricity exam, though. That was really tough. I need to be honest about this. I took a navigation on map course that was offered by des escadrilles de plaisance or something like that, like another like francophone. I did all my courses back in Quebec except one in Puerto Rico with a skipper as well to get extra experience. So no, I mean, it's pretty serious. You know, you're out there at sea on a boat, like you're risking your life every day, and you need some form of, I think, unless like you grew up with it, right, and you sailed with your parents your whole life, then I think that's okay. Just go get your permit. It shouldn't take you just a couple hours, but definitely get some formal training. So I did that. And then of course there's like endless YouTube channels out there. There's endless Facebook groups. I contacted like mentors, also like families that were at sea. At first I was single at the time, so I was looking for solo female sailors. So I contacted some solo female sailors on Instagram and Facebook to try to connect with them. Books, you know, making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's kind of like I have a frame of reference, but I have no frame of reference. Does that make sense? Like I have because RVing is very much the same. You know, there's everything. Like, and really, what I should have done before I started pulling the fifth wheel, because my second RV was the fifth wheel. I should have taken some courses. If I would have taken some more courses on it, I probably would have not hated it
as much.
I hated towing. I loved living in it. I loved being in it because it literally was an apartment. It was huge. Like it was really nice for me, especially coming from the 16, 17 foot mini cruiser. It was like, la. I had a couch and a table and, and a bathroom, like a real bathroom, not a wet bath. And it was nice, but having that time to move from that space and getting into that where I was alone, how did you manage? I know for me, it was a challenge for part of that, right? I remember actually being out on the Gulf of Mexico. I was staying near Galveston, and I was on the beach for a month, and it was amazing, beautiful, everything that you can think about being on a beach for a month. And I'm out there, and I'm in the water, and I'm looking up, and the sky is gorgeous. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And I'm like, no one is going to see this but me. Like, no one is seeing what I'm seeing right now. And there's no way I can describe this moment to anyone else in a realistic way that they're going to feel it. And it was the first time I felt really lonely, being out there. Have you had moments like that, or?
Well, I've definitely had moments where I thought this was like incredible beauty. But I don't think I've ever felt lonely. I felt lonely in entrepreneurship, which is why I started hosting networking events, because definitely business-wise, I felt like I was kind of alone on my little business island. But like in my personal life, of course, I live with my partner. So there's always like the two of us. And then we had so much friend and family visiting us this year. I think I had 6 of my girlfriends coming on the boat. My mom, my dad, and my sister in 3 different moments.
Oh, wow.
My dad for 3 weeks in Trinidad and Tobago, my sister for a week in St. Lucia, my mom for a week in Martinique. So like I had lots of visitors. We're almost happy now. It's been a month without visitors, and my best friend is arriving on Thursday. So it was just 1 month of like, we're not even done cleaning the boat from the last guest, and we have another one. And the cruising community is the most amazing community you'll ever like see in your life. It's incredible. I think there's such a deep understanding of one another's lifestyle that, you know, when you cross paths with another boat, you're just always waving. When you're at anchor, it's a normal behavior to jump in your dinghy, your little like floaty boat that you use to go to land, like your
Hmm.
car, right? My car. So
Yeah.
I get on my dinghy, I would like drive up to the boat in the anchorage, knock on their hull, and just be like, "Hey, what's up? You guys want to have drinks tonight?" Right? That's super normal. There's also this beautiful Young Cruisers Association. We just got our flag.
Oh,
That's the other
nice.
way. So when you fly this flag on your boat, it means that you're a young cruiser. So it means that this is not retirement for you. This is your
Hmm.
life, right? So when we see that flag in an anchorage, we know that it's going to be other young cruisers that are possibly working on land like us and all of that. So
Hmm.
we're definitely going to go and say hi and see if we can do anything to help them out. So no, I'm actually surprised about how strong the sense of community is in the sailing world, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I didn't do very well is tap into the community that's there because there is a great community. I just didn't get a chance to tap in with them, and I was supposed to meet up
Mm.
with them. There was a planned, like there was part of this was planned to be solo, and then I was meeting up with like kind of meeting up with the big community, and then hopefully making friends and doing all that stuff, and that
Yep.
never happened because of the
Mm.
motor. So it's like and I have friends online, obviously, and being back in
Yeah.
Michigan, it's like, it's cool, but it's like, how do you? Yeah, it's really good things to learn is that there is a network out there for you. You know.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and no matter what your thing is, no matter what your thing is, if you're willing to meet new people and if you're willing to see strangers as potential friends, like
Mhm.
whether you're RVing, whether you're hitchhiking, whether you're doesn't really matter. Like you'll meet your people. They are out there.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Vickie, you mentioned that you do networking a lot. Um, Talk to me a little bit about that. How does that work for you?
Yeah, there's a lot going on the networking side. First of all, I'm currently on a challenge to connect with 365 entrepreneurs in 365 days. So that's going really well. And I document the whole process on how I meet them, where I meet them. Sometimes it's Facebook group. Um, I use a software, an AI software that matches me with another entrepreneur every week, which is really awesome. I use a networking app. I have my own networking app for Francophone entrepreneurs where I host like weekly networking events. I also host a monthly networking event with the company I work for, which I was really happy that they gave me that. They added that to my job description. It's really, really fun. I love hosting networking event. I just like to create spaces where people feel safe connecting and where genuine connection can arise. I'd like to see a world that is more connected. Um,
Mhm.
that's just what I'm all about.
I love it. I love it. Vickie, you are an inspiration to me. Like
Thank
truly an
you.
inspiration. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for just living your true awesome life. I
I
mean,
am.
truly, you are living exactly like what I say. Being able to live anywhere with anyone without fear or lack. It's authentic, creative. And empowered, and you are living those values every day. So thank you so much, folks. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm on every social media. My handle is always just my name, so Vickie Leuenberger, the long Swiss German name with a bunch of e's. And I live on Instagram, so of course it's easier to get a hold of me there than on the other platforms. And yeah, if you want a link to the free networking event for this month, just send me a DM and I'll give it to you.
Awesome, awesome. I will be there. I'm going.
Yay!
Because why wouldn't I? Um, and that's one of the things is that people keep going. Well, why would I? Well, why wouldn't you? I'm a nomadic person. I need to meet more people. So thank you so much. Um, definitely get a hold of her. Vickie is just such a dynamic person, and guys, check me out. You can always look at trueawesomelife.com. I'm always on Facebook. My Facebook is where I live. And I think it's funny that we all have one that we live on. And it typically ends up being one that you live here, and then everything else kind of happens. I'm everywhere else too. But check me out on Facebook. Know that you guys are loved, and I will see you all next week.
Thanks for listening to the Creative Nomad Show. If you have any questions about this or any other episode, go to creativenomadshow.com. There's also a link at the bottom. If you are a radical and would like to be a guest, you can apply to be on the show there. Thanks again, and know that you are loved. Awesome Life, we look for the world changers who want to live in creativity, authenticity, and profitability whenever, wherever. So check out trueawesomelife.com and let's get started.